All right, I think we're recording. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Today, we're going to be talking about Embase and how to search Embase and some of the features of Embase. So get ready. It's very exciting stuff. I'm going to turn off my screen so that people watching this recording do not have to be subjected to my face for 45 minutes. Okay, so let's begin. First things first, can anyone see the screen?
Yes.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, well, welcome once again to Embase Essentials. This is part of the Medical Center Library Research Workshop Series. This is the third installment. Our next session will be in November, covering systematic reviews in the social sciences. So if you're interested, we're going to be covering some really interesting databases that you may not look at pretty frequently. So if you're interested, please sign up to attend. Let's get into Embase though. So the session's going to work. I have a few slides and then we're going to do a live demonstration. So we're going to talk about Embase. What is it? Database features and searching and limits. So just kind of a basic overview of the database and how it can help you find scholarly literature. First things first, what is Embase? Embase is a large biomedical literature database. So it allows for features such as drug and medical device searching, and it has quite a bit of international literature indexed as well. So some of the features I'm going to cover will be the Mtree, which is a subject heading search feature, the Pico search, advanced and basic search as well. Moving on, this is the Embase landing page. We will obviously cover this in the live demonstration, but a few things that I want you all to look at. First things first, the Pico searching is underneath quick searching. Mtree can be found on the top, kind of in the middle of the page. And then finally on the far right, you see my name. To use most of Embase's features, you will need to create an account. It's free through UK, so just keep that in mind. To use the most robust version of all of the features, we highly recommend creating an account and logging in. So let's begin by talking about Mtree. So if you've done any kind of advanced searching before, you hopefully would know what MESH headings are. MESH headings stands for medical subject headings. So Mtree is Embase's version of MESH. Mtree works pretty much the exact same. So it's referred to as a subject heading, which means that articles in the database are tagged with these subject headings. And then if you search them, you are effectively searching just a list of all of these articles that are tagged with that subject heading. And I'll kind of show you how that works in a second. The terms are standardized, meaning that the exact spelling and phrasing need to be used to properly search with Mtree. And once again, like I said, I will be showing you that in a second. So here is an Mtree record. Back in this little search bar, I typed in diabetes mellitus, and what came up were these options. So it shows you kind of the term that you found. If you type in just diabetes as well, you should also get the diabetes mellitus heading. You can see it's right there. The arrow's kind of covering it up, but there are about 1 million records that are tagged, or as librarians say, indexed with this diabetes mellitus heading. So that's quite a bit. That's the main term. These terms underneath, they're called narrower terms. And you can actually search those as well as searching the diabetes mellitus term. If you just wanted to search diabetes mellitus, you would use this syntax on the left-hand side. It's single quote diabetes mellitus /DE. If you wanted to search every other term underneath of diabetes mellitus, which more than likely you probably wouldn't, some of these terms aren't super related. You might not want to look at Wolfram syndrome, which is totally fine. But if you did want to look at all of these things, it would be the single quote /EXP. So they mean different things depending on what you want to search, and I'll show you all that in our live demonstration. And then there are a few types of search in Embase. So we have basic, advanced, and pico searching. All of the searching skills will kind of build off of each other with these different search strategies. Basic search, you can use Boolean operators, which are ands and ors. And you can also do phrase searching, which is essentially if you have more than one word that you're trying to search. So like diabetes mellitus, you wouldn't want those to be split up. You would use your single quotes to ensure that those two words were next to each other in an article record. Advanced searching, you can do field code searching, which is another way to say that you can search specific spots in an article record to try to get more specific articles. So the :TI, AB stands for title abstract searching. So you can do title abstract searching in advanced search, as well as do entry searching, so the DE or the EXP as well. And then finally, pico searching is naturally the population intervention comparison and outcome searching. That's a little bit hard to explain on a slide, so luckily I will be showing you all that in just a second. This is the basic search or the quick search. This is the first level of searching and the first thing you see when you enter Embase. This is technically the landing page. So it literally says find articles by simple keyword search or build more complex queries. Underneath it says broad search and shows an example of heart attack and stress. So you could do a very basic search using this quick search feature, and it kind of actually shows you how to do that by the phrase searching single quotes and then the Boolean and. The next is the advanced search. So you can still use those ands and the quotes here, but now you can kind of get into the smaller details of searching by adding the :title abstract search. You can do the /exp. So the example here is a little bit complicated, actually. It shows a proximity search, which we will not be talking about today. But you can see that cancer gene therapy is an entry term because they did the /exp. And then on the far right-hand side, you have the :AB. So that would be searching technically all of this as an abstract. We will not do anything that looks like this today. This search is very interesting and a little bit complex. And then finally, we have the pico search. So the pico is pretty self-explanatory. You type in your population intervention comparison and outcome. You can also do a study design if that's something you're interested in, and it will actually fill in synonyms and things for you. It says the default strategy is EXP, which means that the default search is actually an entry search, so a subject heading. You can change that, and I will show you all how to do that with the live demonstration, which is right now. So I'm going to take you all through the 3 different types of searches. I'm going to show you entry, and I'm going to show you kind of how to build a search in Embase. So let's get out of here. And actually, I should have some notes somewhere. Nope. Okay, we're going to build this from scratch. So first things first, to get to the Embase database, you want to start from the Medical Center Library page and scroll down to where it says top resources, health sciences databases. So there's this getting started. You can look by discipline, but we're actually going to go down to the quick links and select the Embase option, which is a few down. Click there. And then, yes, I was afraid this would happen. So sometimes when you're getting into Embase, it says, welcome to Embase, check your access, that kind of thing. I'm actually just going to sign in, which is one of the ways you can avoid this page. So I created my account. Let's sign in. Let's hope that it works, and it does. So now you can see that's why my name is in the top right-hand corner, is because to avoid getting the check access feature, I just signed in because I created an account using the UK access information. So now here we are. Let's begin with the heart attack or heart disease and aspirin search by literally just typing in heart disease with our single quotes, our Boolean and aspirin, and actually you can already see that it's recommending terms. So I think that's acetylsalicylic acid. That's what you would use for aspirin and Emtree, but we'll get to that in a second. So we have heart disease and aspirin, and then show our 94,000 results. I don't know about you all, but that's a lot. I don't really, actually, let me delete these. So it will save your search history for a few hours. This is something that I was doing earlier, so let's delete that. Okay. If you're just now searching for the first time an Embase record, this is what you would get. You would see heart disease, EXP, or heart disease and aspirin, EXP, or aspirin. So when you do a basic search, it does something where it actually kind of makes your search a little bit more robust. If these, I don't believe fully that these are accurate, because the aspirin term was acetylsalicylic acid. So this isn't actually correct, I don't believe, but it's a basic search. So if you're just looking for like any article on anything, it's completely fine. However, 94,000 is probably too many articles for someone to look at. So you can go up here and underneath where it says our search, you have these limits. So if you wanted to limit by date, you could do publication year. So if we only wanted 2022, that's 3,000 articles, which is pretty significantly lower. So most of the research must have come out at a later date. You can do sources. So maybe not, I wouldn't do these. So you in theory could search just Medline, but if you're searching PubMed as well, it's fine. All of these will get you what you need. Here's another way to look at field labels. So if you wanted to look at just, let's find a good one. Author keywords. So if you just wanted to look at the keywords that authors supplied, you could actually go up here and change your search to have the double colon KW. This is just a little bit of a guide. And then your click limit. So if you wanted only in English, you could click that and then hit search. So it didn't really do much. Most of these articles were in English. You could do more languages, publication types. So if you only wanted conference abstracts, 407. So we're down pretty low. If you were only looking at gender or age or even a specific animal, you could do all of that with these limits up here. There are even more on the left-hand side though. So if you're only looking at the chest journal, totally fine. That's all right here. So there's quite a few ways to limit an Embase. And especially if we started off with 94,000 and now we're at 25. That's pretty exciting. So just things to consider when you're doing a basic search. Now, let's begin looking at Emtree. So you don't need to do any Emtree searching with a basic search, but with the advanced search, it can be really helpful. So I went up to my right-hand top bar and I selected Emtree. So this is, it's called a query builder, but it actually can be kind of used as another search bar. So if you were searching for the term aspirin, like we said, acetylsalicylic acid is the term they would use instead. So typed in aspirin, let's click what they would use. So like we said, to search for the Emtree heading for aspirin, you can't do aspirin / or I think that's a / EXP or DE. You have to use the accepted term because it's standardized language. So we have acetylsalicylic acid, which I am now getting so good at pronouncing. You can kind of see here that aspirin essentially is underneath a few different things. So it's underneath chemicals and drugs, enzyme inhibitors, agents affecting metabolism, analgesics, and hematologic. So there's a few different ways, I guess, that aspirin could be used, or things that aspirin are used for, and that's why it's underneath all of these different things. But essentially the term is still the same. You can see when it was added to Emtree, so it's 1974. And then here are some synonyms for aspirin or acetylsalicylic acid. So I am not a doctor by any means, but a few of these look like specific brand names. And then some of them look like specific, I don't even know what these would be called. But if you're a doctor, you probably know what these things mean. So you can use them as synonyms as well. And then there's a dictionary here as well. So yeah, acetylsalicylic acid is the chemical name, and it explains what aspirin is, and then some other things as well. So we can search this if we hit find term. We're back here actually. So you can take this and hit it add to query builder. So you can actually build a search here. So acetylsalicylic acid, I am going to mess that up eventually. Since there is no narrower terms like we talked about, you can do EXP or DE. It doesn't matter because there's nothing to search underneath. So we'll do that. We'll do aspirin, title, abstract. And then we'll and that with our heart disease. So let's find heart disease terms. So here it is. Heart disease is actually the term. And then we have a ton of narrower terms here. So if you're looking at a specific kind of heart disease, like carditis, you probably wouldn't want to search all of these terms. So you could do heart disease. Do this, heart disease. I can type. I feel like I'm the worst at typing when I know people are watching me. Or we'll do carditis, and we can actually make that bigger to see, you know, a few different types of carditis. So we have myocarditis, pericarditis. We'll do all of them just because. So we have our entry terms for heart disease or carditis, and then we'll do our title abstract as well, because they're searching two different things. The entry terms, like I mentioned earlier, are searching the tags, essentially, a part of articles, and title abstract terms or keyword terms will be searching literally the title and the abstract of an article record. So that's why you can search both if you would like to. So let's do this, title abstract. And there we go. So this, and actually let me zoom in because I'm having trouble seeing that, and this is on my computer. So as you can see, this is a bit of a more advanced search that we built in Entry. You can also take this to the advanced search here, and it will work the exact same. So copy and paste. Here we go. So we're still getting about 94,000 articles, which isn't super surprising because this is such a broad search. But since we're using it as an example, it's totally fine. And actually, interesting, it added an entire new term here. So maybe be careful of this because it looks like it's adding just regular terms. That's interesting. Figure out why that's doing that. There we go. So we went from 94 to 93. Okay, so that's the advanced search. It's, you know, if you use advanced search features in other databases, it's pretty similar. But if not, that's totally fine. We have a few other videos that explain advanced searching in other databases. So hopefully that will be helpful. But let's do the fun stuff. So I'm going to zoom back out. There we go. Let's go do the Pico search. So here is the Pico framework search that I talked about. They have search tips here. So if you are kind of struggling and you don't want to speak to a librarian, that's totally fine. This page will actually show you how to search the different filters and things like that. So here's advanced search, quick search. So kind of what I'm doing today, but this is just in the written format. So once again, we talked about default strategy. So you could do a major focus, an index term, major focus, and explosion, or as broad as possible. So if you're doing something that's kind of specific and you are having trouble finding articles, you could do this BR default strategy and it will help you find very broad. It will search broadly to help you find articles. However, we don't want to do that because we're doing something so generic that we're going to get a ton of articles. So we're actually going to do major focus. So let's look at population. We're going to type in our heart disease term one more time. There we go. Actually, if you just type it out, if you don't do any of the quotes or anything, it shows you. So heart diseases. Use heart disease. If you're looking at ischemic heart disease, you can do that. We'll just go broad. And one of my favorite things about the Pico search is actually that it shows you synonyms. So if you click this add 10 synonyms, it will show you over here. So some synonyms for heart disease would be cardiac anomaly, cardiac disease, cardiopathy, heart diseases, heart disorder, things like that. I use this when I'm building systematic searches so that I can not miss any keywords or any terms. If you're just, like we said, doing a very basic search, you wouldn't need all of these synonyms. Oh, it's gone. But I think they're fun to look at for sure. So our intervention, let's just throw our aspirin in here. So once again, acetylsalicylic acid. There are 270 synonyms because Embase, like I said earlier, is a drug database. It lets you search a lot of drugs. I've attempted to do a similar search in PubMed that I've done in Embase using drug names. And PubMed just does not have the terms listed for various drug names and things like that. So you could search, I don't even know how to say that. Let me try to find one that I can say. Actorin in Embase, but it might not work in PubMed. So just keep that in mind. We're not going to use all of these synonyms. Or you can do all fields. You can just do in the title too. So that's exciting. You can change the way that you do your synonyms. So if we want to just title or title abstract, we could do that. We'll leave them. We'll see how large this is. And then here's our basic search. If you wanted to search an outcome, you could do risk. As an example, you could add the synonyms, change them to title abstract. And then let's see, we wanted cohort studies. We'll do cohort analysis. We can add those synonyms. We'll do title abstract. And so actually, we went from 94,000 to 6 results. So that's pretty exciting. And then here you go. So because we added all of those acetylsalicylic acid synonyms, it searched them all using title abstract. So heart disease, and actually I'm going to zoom in one more time because this is very small. So you have your heart disease, major focus, and all of these acetylsalicylic acid synonyms. It's like 200 of them. So if you go past all of these, you see, and our risk term, it did risk title abstract, risk hypothesis, cohort analysis, cohort studies, that kind of thing. So the Pico searching is really useful, especially, I accidentally clicked another one, is really useful, especially if you're trying to find like all of the synonyms of a term and things like that. And it made it fairly narrow. So there are 6 studies that look at heart disease, some type of aspirin, the risk, and it's a cohort study. So hopefully, if you were doing this kind of search, these would be relevant to you. And then that's all 3 of the types of searches plus entry and the date limits, or the limits, including date. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the article record. So this is pretty simple. If you're able to find your article, you're golden. So this is an article. It says it's in process. It's from Stroke this year. Here's the abstract. And I believe if you're logged in, only if you're logged in, maybe not. We'll test that out. It will highlight in yellow the terms that you searched. So risk, cohort, aspirin. So the disease drug terms, it tagged, once again, the aspirin term. It tagged heart disease, cardiovascular disease, and it tagged cohort analysis. So in theory, this article should be talking about what you were searching for, maybe. As we all know, it's never that cut and dry, but hopefully this would contain something you're interested in. And then next, the full text link is on the right-hand side, so you click on that. It will take you to Stroke. You can download the PDF pretty easily. It's taking me to this interesting looking website, but here's the article. And then, there's the search. You can also add it to your clipboard, so that will not stay for very long, and you do have to be logged in. So I would not recommend like leaving your computer for a couple hours and then coming back and expecting your clipboard to still be there. You can email these articles to yourself. So here's my email. I could say Embase comments. I could send it in an HTML format, which will be formatted more, or just a plain text. You can see who will be sending it from. And then you could actually say citation information, abstract, index, all content, whatever you wanted. And then finally, you can actually do an author's search here as well. So let's say you want to see more articles that Farland LV wrote, you can actually just do a search here. And it seems that they have 167 articles out. So take this with a grain of salt though, because sometimes, especially if the name is more common, it may not all be from that one author. It probably is mostly them, but just, something to be cautious about. And that's Embase. We have about 15 more minutes. I'll start my video again. Does anyone have any questions? Anything you want to see on here? Anything you want me to cover again? It's a lot, but it's a really great database for searching for drugs and medical devices, especially. So I can even cover that. Actually, if there are no more questions, we can do a quick little medical device search. My chat open, wait about 30 seconds.
Kayla, I have a quick question. I'm getting a 404 error or 400 error.
Where?
Would that just be like clearing my cache, or?
You're trying to get into the database?
Yeah, like I got into the database from the library's website. I did not sign in to my account, but it says that I'm UK. And then when I do a search and I click search, it says that it's the 404 error, the 400.
Is it a big search?
No, super basic.
Super basic. That sometimes I find that if the search is bigger, it will be like, yeah, I would clear your cache, and then sometimes when that doesn't work for me, I just move to a different browser.
Okay. That's what I tried. I tried it in Firefox and I was like, okay, it works in Firefox, but not in Chrome.
Yeah.
Just curious if we had any known issues with that one.
I find problems with like cookies and things with Embase and Web of Science and Google Chrome. So if that's not working, always, if a database isn't working, like it won't even let you into the database, and you've logged in with your Link Blue or you're on campus, the best bet is to always just move browsers. Don't know why, but
thank you.
Yes, you know that, Stephanie, but
I was just wondering if we had like, I knew the Web of Science issue, but I didn't know Embase was a problem.
Yeah, I always just move straight to Firefox. It doesn't not work. It's hit or miss. So like today it's working in my Google Chrome, tomorrow it might not. It might not even work in my Google Chrome in 20 minutes. So it really just depends. But yeah, thanks for your question. We have a few more minutes, so I think I'll show you all this because I think it's really fun. The drug name searching looks just like the entry searching, and it will pull the search this way, but it won't add the EXP until you search. So the drug searching is basically just entry searching for drugs. But the medical device searching is a little bit different. So I was looking at cochlear implants. So this will actually build your search strategy based on medical devices, which is really cool. So device name, we'll do cochlear implants. So it wants me to use cochlea prosthesis. And then it's intra and extra cochlear. We'll add the device name. We can add all of these synonyms. So these are definitely brands like Aquamic. And then some other just synonyms like cochlear implant and things like that. We can add those. And then it allows you to include subheadings. So you can do adverse effects, device comparisons, that kind of thing, clinical trials, all of that. We'll just do adverse effects. So it actually has a query snippet here based off of some adverse effects of using the medical device, which is kind of crazy that it does all of that for you, but it's really cool. So some of this obviously is not going to be like adverse effects of using cochlea prosthesis, unless I'm wrong. Like I said, I am not a doctor, but ulcers, maybe not, maybe like an ulcer on the skin, I don't know. So these might not be fully specific towards your device, but the prosthesis complication would be. So you can add all of those. And then you can add just an adverse effects filter that the database created. So device safety, complication, injury, death, risk, all of that. And then you can do limits. So if you wanted to just do humans, 2022 to 2022. And there you go. So here, we're going to have another really long search that you do not have to look at all of, but you can see that the cochlear prosthesis term is here alongside all of the other synonyms. So the Aquamic and things like that. And then you have your adverse effects here, which is like electric shock, ear infection, that kind of thing. And these actually do look to be pretty relevant towards the cochlea prosthesis. So that's exciting. But we're getting 772 results, which is quite a bit. So once again, you can look specifically at like study types. If you wanted to look at clinical trials, you could definitely do that as well. So narrowing by limits and things like that. The only caveat is if you're working on a systematic review, I would not just take all of this with a grain of salt. I would A, probably contact a librarian, but then B, kind of like look to make sure these are all relevant. Okay, that's it for me. I'm going to stop the recording, but if you all have any more questions, please let me know, or you can reach out as well.